the Civil War, during which 18 men from Hendersonville fought for the Union Army and where their combat roles transformed them into agents of emancipation. 10 of the 18 are buried at Hosanna Church Cemetery. Hello, I'm Dr. Cheryl Renee Gooch, historian and author of the two-part book series that focuses on how Hendersonville and Lincoln University communities shaped Pennsylvania, national, and global history. Hosanna Church trustee James Ralston Amos and his brother Thomas Henry Amos were among the first students to enroll at and graduate from Ashman. They served as Presbyterian missionaries in Liberia. Amos Hall commemorates James Amos's role as co-founder of Lincoln University. Notice his carved image at the top of Amos Hall, which was erected in 1902 in his honor. You will learn more about the Amos brothers in the first year experience course, which includes a chapter from On Africa's Lands, the forgotten stories of two Lincoln-educated missionaries in Liberia, published by the Lincoln University Press. Copies of the book are available at the Langston Hughes Library. 18 men who were residents of Hendersonville and worshiped at Hosanna Church, along with numerous students and graduates of Lincoln University, served in the Union forces during the Civil War, the war that reunified our country and liberated 4 million Americans from slavery, including many of our ancestors. Lincoln men, Robert Fitzgerald and his classmate, Christian Fleetwood, are among those featured in Hendersonville's Heroes, Black Civil War Soldiers of Chester County, Pennsylvania, and appear here on the book's cover. The final Durham, North Carolina home of Robert Fitzgerald, who served in the 5th Massachusetts Cavalry, is now a National Historic Site. And 1860 Ashman graduate Christian Fleetwood, who taught Sunday school at Hosanna, later received the Medal of Honor, the highest military honor, for his bravery during the Civil War. Lincoln men, American heroes. This commemorative bench was placed at Hosanna in 2015 by the Toni Morrison Society. The plaque, in part, reads as follows. Built in 1843, Hosanna Church became the social and spiritual center of Hendersonville, an African-American community whose residents helped to establish nearby Lincoln University and played a key role in both the abolition of slavery and Liberian colonization. Hosanna Church was an important stop on the Underground Railroad, and church members worked diligently to assist enslaved men and women on their journey to freedom. The church cemetery contains the graves of Hendersonville's earliest families, along with those of Black Civil War veterans. The historic church has been a sacred site for the Lincoln University community and a symbol of hope for those who desired freedom. Lincoln students, this summarizes the distinguished history you have inherited and the history to which you now have the opportunity to contribute. All the best in your successful studies at Lincoln University.
Very nice.
How'd you like that?
It was real nice.
Have any of you been in Hosanna Church yet?
I haven't.
Okay. So
No, it's not open. They're still doing work on it, so it's not open. Nobody can go in.
yeah, you usually have to go by appointment. And if you'd like to go, then I'm thinking maybe next month, we might arrange for a visit to
I
the
think
church.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. How many remember what the year that it was built? What did Dr.?
You know, one of the things
Go ahead, Susan.
that's in the archives is a microfilm copy of Robert Fitzgerald's diary that he kept. I think it was during the war and maybe after the war, or after he was in the war. The original, I forget. It's somewhere in North Carolina, I believe. But Lincoln did end up with a microfilm. Now I don't know. It just is occurring to me. I mean, I don't know if anybody uses microfilm anymore. Lincoln at the library does probably have microfilm readers, but I wonder if the library would have the ability to scan it or somehow make it available digitally. It's something it'd be not necessarily for this course, but just, you know, sitting there in microfilm format. I don't know if anybody really knows about it. I hope Dr. Gooch knew about it, but I'm not, you know, she may not have.
May not.
Thank you very much, Susan. That's a great resource and something we can use if we do another class, if we have another group of students looking for topics. I think that would make a nice complement to Christian Fleetwood article, Tamara's article. Did you sign Robert Fitzgerald to anybody? Did you, Miss?
No, I certainly didn't.
Carol, you asked the question.
Yeah, if they remember what the year that Dr. Gooch said that Hosanna was built.
1843.
It
Oh.
sure is.
Wonderful. You got
See,
it.
Mia Googled it while I was looking at the pictures.
Oh, no.
And we definitely need to take a picture sitting on the bench outside of Hosanna.
That would be really nice.
It was really a nice dedication from Toni Morrison. That's real neat.
I've never understood why a grant hasn't been, why somehow that church hasn't been preserved better.
I know.
Such an important piece of history.
Did you guys go in there when you were on campus, Carol?
Yes. Oh, no, not regularly. No, it was.
No, I went because I called myself going before some finals.
Because they have church services.
Yeah, I went before finals. You know what students do?
Right, you go
I
pray,
need
right.
Saving grace.
My father used to tell stories about, he preached there on Sunday mornings. All the seminarians used the Hosanna Church pulpit. And it was considered quite an honor.
What year was that, Carol?
He finished the seminary in 27, so it would have been between 1924 and 27. Okay, and I loved what she said at the end. Now you will become part of the history. Continuing the history, writing the history. What a contribution you are making.
Did it say what denomination Hosanna Church is or was?
I think it's United Methodist.
It's not United Methodist, because that's mine.
Is it AAUMP?
No, it was
I think it's independent.
No, it's got a name. It's African Methodist Episcopal, I think, something
Oh,
like that. Episcopal or something.
There's one bishop in Wilmington who controls everything.
Oh, wow.
When my first husband died, I wanted him buried there, and he wouldn't permit it. He said, no more burials.
AUMP.
AUMP. Okay. And it took him forever to get back to like 6 days, and there's nothing that could be done. But anyway. Okay, let me play David Clawson for you. And I'll do what Mia said. Thank you, Mia, for that lovely suggestion. Start it first.
Good, Mia. That's
Good
right, come correct.
Oh.
Future Lincoln students.
Wait a minute, now I
I
gotta
have
get
to
Zoom
be very
back up.
careful to say men and women of Lincoln.
Some more Mia love.
1961 through 65, and there were very few young ladies on campus. So.
Are you seeing
welcome
it?
to Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see it now.
Most.
Let me go back to the beginning.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on. Sorry.
Good afternoon, future Lincoln students. I have to be very careful to say men and women of Lincoln because I went there in 1961 through 65, and there were very few young ladies on campus. So welcome to Lincoln. I was housed at the most illustrious building called Houston Hall. And if you can see at the very top in the triangle, I was there for 2 years. And I particularly asked for that room because that was Langston Hughes' former room. And I was hoping, being a campus poet, to be able to feel the influence of the great poet and writer and humorist Langston Hughes. So that's where I was for my 2 years at Lincoln. Houston Hall was known to be a dormitory where students usually came out with very good honors. As students there, they were bathing, you might say, in the spirit of the old meaning of the campus, which was Houston Hall was the seminary. And Lincoln was founded on the grounds that they would train African Americans and Africans to go back to Africa to teach them the basis of Christian thought, to come back and change Africa into a more modern period of this country, feeling that Africans needed Christianity, whereas we all know Africans fully had their own religious beliefs. But that was the purpose of Lincoln, to train African students to teach their fellow Africans to become part of the modern world. Houston was also, after the seminary, became a very popular dormitory because it was very luxurious. It had 2 rooms for 2 students and a room in between as a study hall. So it was quite an experience to live there. And I was thinking about many of the stories that took place at Lincoln involving Houston Hall, one of which I would like to tell, but it's a kind of a salacious story. But because this will be heard by parents as well, I'll have to make sure I leaven out some of the details. It was one homecoming when we were allowed to have young ladies in our dormitory rooms for a certain period of time. And one young Lincoln man, known for his very passionate being, his very arduous manner of speaking to ladies, had invited a young lady to his room. And he was very much convincing, and through his very persuasive being, he had gotten her into a very mellow state, you could say. And he was getting into a state of being where his, I have to watch myself, the wife that looked at me. The girl was becoming very seduced by his language. So at one point, the girl's friend who was downstairs called her and said it's time for dinner. So she quickly excused herself and started throwing on the pearls of clothing that she had recently discarded. And she ran out the building. And this young man, brokenhearted, screaming in his attempts, picked up a big pumpkin that he had carved for the holiday and threw it down the stairwell. We were on the 5th floor. That's where both of us were. And all the way down to the bottom floor, there was this pulpy mess with seeds dripping, and out she ran. And a friend of mine who lived in the building said all he heard was the door slamming, girls running, sludge and seeds sliding down the wall, and this young man crying and screaming because his ardour did not come to fruition. So Lincoln had many stories like this because it was an all-male campus, so to speak, and there was nothing to do but study and rabble. The rabble was the art of speaking, overcoming the students' rhetoric. It was the power of speech, and we were famous for that. And that's all we had to do, study or rabble. So going back to a story at Lincoln that said, if you did not study, you would not see the grass turn green, which meant in the first semester, if you didn't get your average up, Lincoln would put you out on the road. It would float you out. Other colleges, they gave you another chance, another semester. Lincoln, you could be gone in the first semester. So the way that you could deal with that is to actually study. You had to study, and nothing else to do except hit the road. If you hit the road that day, going out of Route 1 and heading towards such places as Cheney State University, or if you had enough money, Howard University. And Howard University was the reason why a lot of men did not see the grass turn green, because they spent too much time in that atmosphere of those lovely young ladies.
Do you want to tell them about the signature?
Also, in Houston Hall, when you look at the building in the front, downstairs, if they had not removed it with renovation, you will find lots of initials, names, and rabble names. And if you look up high, there should be a brick with the name Future. That was me. You find fraternity signs and many other things. So that is part of Lincoln's tradition.
Do you want to show them the book?
Oh, this is the book. If you can't find this in any bookstore, Education for Freedom, A History of Lincoln University, Pennsylvania by Horace Mann Bond, the first African-American president of Lincoln and the father of Julian Bond. And in this, you will find a more official accounting of Lincoln University. Thank you very much for your time and good luck at Lincoln.
Okay. Now, if I had been present, I wouldn't have allowed that story about the Houston Hall couple. But
Wait a minute,
as
you
it
call
is,
it a couple?
whatever that
It's a
was.
gay couple.
Okay.
Well,
What
well,
was
well, as a male, he was telling some of the stories that we had because it was all male, ladies.
Mhm.
And, you know, we are men. So we did travel to Howard. I did too, and other places. So he's telling a story that maybe we don't like, but he's telling it like it is.
What was his raffle name? I didn't catch it.
Future.
Oh, Future.
Future. I have no idea how it
Oh,
got that name. Do you know?
I'd forgotten.
oh,
Yeah.
by the way, he told the story about, it shows you how morality has changed. They had a rule when we had women on campus, you had to leave the door cracked open. And when I was there, you couldn't have, you know, women and men were not on the same floor. So it's interesting about how morals have changed over the course of the years. And then co-education, you know, today women live on the same floor as men in dormitories. Back then, that was a no-no.
Well, they weren't even in the same dormitory.
That's right,
They
they
were
weren't.
much
No.
less the same.
That's right.
Not even in the same building.
And,
Right.
and you had, there was some rule, was
Right.
you had to have 3 feet on the floor.
It's repeater.
It was,
Hey, Murph, do you remember the first time Lincoln actually had males and females in the same dorm?
I don't, not when I was there.
1976, their first summer session.
Okay.
Me, 1976.
I said 1976.
Oh, you did? I thought it sounded like.
Really? That far back?
It was the first summer session and it was in Hansberry.
Okay. That must be when Hansberry first opened.
19, no,
Oh, okay. All right.
no, it was still a new dorm, but it was a big dorm and it was the first year that Lincoln had summer school.
Well, David went on, he went to the Peace Corps after his graduation. And he came back and he got his master's degree at University of Pennsylvania in folklore. And his thesis was the rabble, the origins of the rabble at Lincoln University. And I have put that in Canvas so that you all could read it. And so we always rabbled that here's somebody actually got a degree in rabble. And he went on to get his PhD at Penn and he taught folklore. He was in the folklore department. And of course, they're all about gathering oral traditions. And the rabble is an incredible legacy at Lincoln University. And it's still alive, I understand. You students agree?
Rabble.
Lord knows what they call it. It's a way of talking and speaking and.
They're looking like, we don't know what that is. Maybe it's died.
Is it rap? Is it the same thing as rap poetry?
I like poetry, yeah.
No, rabble was just
Question.
gossip. Rabble was just gossip.
Well, not necessarily. No.
Okay, all right, well, what do you,
A lot of it was
Combination.
academic discourse. I mean, there were actually competitions to see if if your oration, you know, was better than the person who initiated the oration.
The discussion or the conversation.
Yes.
And
And that would
sometimes,
be like rap for people.
well,
Yeah, like
it
rap,
was-
sort of.
yeah, it's kind of, but it was, you know, about communication, interaction, socialization,
Communication on any form.
Right.
you know,
Any form.
setting
Express-
hierarchies, creating hierarchies. There was a very extensive set of experiences involved with that.
But to me,
Well-
it was the
well-
naming process. I mean, people got names, rabble names, and they lost their identity. We didn't know them other than through being, you know, the rabble names. And David's thesis, I think the first 2 pages, he has all the rabble names listed and how they were created and why they're created. And it's an amazing story.
Well, the closest we come to it, as I understand it, is our group called I Spit, Infinite Supply of Passionate and Intense
Oh,
talent. And so this is a club that meets twice a week, and before COVID anyway, they're very supportive of each other. They give an annual performance. They encourage each other in their oral poetry and their spitting, and they are the basis for the magazine, and it's part of the creative writing track, and it's a very cohesive group. They're quite talented.
interesting.
Sounds like something to see. An experience.
And now that I know about this thesis, and David Amadeo is the guy who's their sponsor, and so they are going to just revel in this thesis. I cannot wait to read it and can't wait to share it. It's marvelous.
Well, I read it, and I experienced it as well. Rabble wasn't always supportive.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, sometimes the goal was, as he said, you had 2 options. You can either study or you can talk smack, put it politely. And sometimes we combined the 2. In other words, sometimes people would make it a point to get people off their game. That is, to keep them from fighting shit, as we would say, in order to send them on the pike. In other words, people sometimes made efforts to undermine other students by engaging them in rabble while they were pursuing academic excellence on their own. So it was a constant battle between, trying to establish some presence or position relative to your schoolmates, and also trying to maintain your academic record. So it was a very complex system. And it was very helpful with the orientation. It was also a means of socialization. That's how you became a Lincoln person, through rabble, through some of the other traditions that have been created and passed down to us.
All right. And the test was, could you stand the rabble? Could you take it?
Yeah, and it prepared you for a lot of things, because not only did you get names, but you also got insults.
Right.
Your family background was questioned. Your geographical origins were scrutinized and criticized.
Physical appearance.
Physical appearance.
Well,
It's terrible.
Well, give them some examples of it. For example, we had a guy, they would call him Food Fair because he ate a lot. They had another guy they called Tally Ho because he wore boots that were British, like, Tally Ho. We had a classmate they called Boom Boom because when he walked down the hallway, you could hear him say boom, boom. They call him Boom Boom. I mean, they call Gil Scott-Heron Spider-Man. So it was that, and what else? And one time in the newspaper, some guy made some fun of me about some girl, Southern Comfort, called her Southern Comfort. I was with, so it's things like that could be insulting or it wasn't always nice, as Robert and some of it was good too. But.
So was it an insult? Was you with Southern Comfort?
Hey, watch it now.
And in my class, we had a classmate they called Gonzilla.
Oh, yep. See, yeah, God.
That was just terrible.
See, right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
terrible.
So was
And,
there,
and it's amazing that he survived those 4
That
years.
is amazing.
Yeah.
was there an inner circle sort of running this rabble group? or
No.
No.
Everybody?
Just popped up, you know.
It started with the upperclassmen
Right.
when you first got on campus,
Yep.
and they started basically we would consider harassment today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you know that was part of the socialization process and introduced me to Lincoln. They had you write something called dog letters, and so it was a process of dehumanization in some ways.
Yes.
You know, being a prep and the like. So it was part of the overall tradition and culture of the campus.
I guess this is before fraternities.
No, no,
No,
no.
no,
So
no,
you have
no.
fraternities as well. No, fraternities were there. That was a whole nother process.
Right.
Pledging and going over and that's
Another rabble.
yeah, it was a whole nother, that's something totally.
And the hazing, I mean, it was bad.
And before feminism too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty, it was rough.
It was
Although
rough.
the fraternities, on the other hand, they competed to see who had the highest GPA, you know, in the school. And so that was usually between the alphas and the Qs.
When did the tradition of kicking people out of school after the first semester, at what point did that stop? That's very interesting.
I don't, it was there when we were there, and it was so shocking to come back second semester and see half the people not there.
Oh, my goodness.
It was terrible.
It was put on the pike. They would call it put them on the pike. Baltimore Pike. That means you got kicked out of school for one reason or another, and you had to hitchhike your way home.
And I will say, most of them deserved it.
Look at Mia. Mia's agreeing.
They
So
didn't
she
do their
doesn't-
work. They didn't come to class. You know, they slept. I
Right.
mean, you know. So if they worked hard, they could get back.
Did any of them end up coming back?
Yes, some did.
Did any of them end back
Some did.
and redeeming themselves?
Yes, yes.
Some did.
Yeah, we had a lot of people graduate in other classes. They may have started in an earlier class,
Right.
and then they ended up with classes beyond their original class.
Mhm.
for
We're
different
going to
reasons.
see another clip, Carol, yours.
Yeah, you can see mine. Okay. Okay, let me get back over here and get it to play.
Okay, Dr. Button, I hear you. We wearing the same colors, did you notice?
Oh, sort of, yeah. Actually, mine is differently. It's kind of a yellow. Mine's a mustard yellow.
Oh, I'm glad your camera camouflaged it because ours are the same. It's like a rust orange.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
No, we don't see you yet, Carol. You know you got to do the Mia trick, Mia Love.
Well, I did.
See, I'm giving you part of my name, Mia Love.
I did, but let me do it again.
I receive it.
Good.
Miss Carol Black,
Mhm.
with the class of 1967. I am very pleased to show you Ezekaway in Nkrumah Hall.
Now?
It is
Yeah.
Yeah, you there.
Okay, let me go back.
class of 2024. My name is.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go there. I would be so pissed.
I am very pleased to show you Ezekaway in
Can
Nkrumah.
you turn the volume up, Carol?
Oh, I'm trying to figure that out. Let's see. I got it up on my computer.
The iconic alumni arch. It is the oldest building standing on our
It's
campus.
all the way up.
It was built in 1865 during the Civil War. At that time, Lincoln was known as Ashland Institute before we became Lincoln University. It's, as you know, Lincoln is the first degree granting institution in the world to educate former slaves. His building has been named for Dr. Ndami Ezekaway, the class of 30, the first president of Nigeria, and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the class of 39, the first president of Ghana. This building was first used as a faculty residence and classrooms, and later as the African Center. It was the first institution to provide opportunities for African refugees who were then living under colonial rule. It's also home of the first Peace Corps unit in the United States. And other programs in that building were the Institute for African Government and African Languages and Area Studies. In 2013, the building was slated for demolition. Alumni campaigned to save it, and our pleas were heard by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, who placed the building on its list of the 11 most endangered buildings in the nation.
Wow.
Under Dr. Allen's leadership and campus master plan, the building will be rehabilitated for use as offices for institutional advancement and other programs. You will be fortunate because during the time you are at Lincoln University, you will see this progress. Thank you.
Okay.
Very
Yay,
nice.
that's our Carol, a real person.
Very nice. Very
I have a question.
Yes.
In the video, you said that you guys asked for the building to be preserved, but now they're like updating it and making it high tech with all these like windows and stuff. So I was just wondering, like, did the plans change, or I'm just confused.
No, look, the building is still there. That was the main thing, to not tear it down. It can be preserved on the outside, and you can do almost anything you want on the inside. And those offices really do need that kind of support, the technology. Before you all got there, I don't know, maybe was it the police station when you arrived?
Yeah, they're updating it now for the police building, I heard.
Yeah, but so it's still all those equipment is in there, the computers and the mainframe and a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if it's still in there now, but that's what it was used for. So it was high tech even then. So I'm just happy that it survived. It is the oldest standing building, you know, on the campus when it was not Lincoln University, but when it was Ashman Institute. So, you know, we should all put wreaths on it, kiss it, you know, bow in front of it whenever you go past.
Carol, it's interesting that you mentioned it was the first building to house, or the first house for Peace Corps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that was in the summer of 1966, I believe. Peace Corps was formed, and they wanted to train trainers for the Peace Corps. So Lincoln was one of the campuses selected for that. And they brought people on campus, and they stayed there that summer. I'm not sure how much longer. And they were training people to, you know, do language assessment, language skills of trainees, and a host of other things. So I was there that summer, and I remember them getting underway. I participated in some of the training. I was a subject for some of them. So yeah, it went back, I think it had to be about 1966.
Yeah, I would think so. Matter of fact, you heard, I said that David Clausen was one of the people who, you know, went to Africa through the Peace Corps. And many students did. It was a wonderful, you know, opportunity. It was founded by James Robinson, and I think he was a Lincoln graduate. I was just trying to hurry up and Google that. Yes.
You can do it quicker.
Who can? Mia. Okay, go ahead, Mia. See if you can find James Robinson.
Go ahead, Mia. Look up James Robinson.
James Robinson, Peace Corps.
Well, you know, James Robinson, are you talking about?
Wait, I thought
he did some with
Crossroads Africa.
Yeah,
Wasn't he
Crossroads
Crossroads Africa?
Oh,
Which is different from the Peace Corps.
yes,
he started that in the 1950s.
yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. My
Yeah.
apology.
Yeah, Crossroads Africa in 1950s. But a lot of Lincoln students were part of that too.
Yeah, Peace Corps, that was like under
That's
Kennedy
Dr.
or
Stevens, Dr.
no, it couldn't have been Kennedy. He was dead by then.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon Johnson.
Oh, Susan, you're funny. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Mia, while you're searching the information with historic preservations, it is a rule of thumb to maintain the outside structure. You can make changes inside, but people that live in historic buildings try to preserve some of the aesthetics of the period.
No, that's what I was asking.
The outside. Yeah, so the outside, they definitely want to preserve the foundation. Sometimes they change, you mentioned they changed the windows. So maybe, I don't know if those windows, the original glass was like lead glass.
I
And then they
don't,
changed to
I
this,
haven't
this
seen
other blown glass.
somebody told me that today that they stopped by and that they're making the building very modern. And I asked them which building. They said the building that they're gonna put the police officers in. So I was confused because I originally saw that in a magazine that it was Dickey Ezekwe and another building who was gonna be going like renovations and stuff, but I wasn't expecting them to be updating the outside.
Yeah, normally they
No,
don't
not
do
the
that.
outside. They will firm it up. I mean, there's bricks that need to be pointed.
It need to be pointed, but they're not going to,
They will not destroy that exterior.
so
And
which
actually,
magazine
we
did
had-
you see it in, Mia? Do you recall the magazine?
I'm sorry, it was one of the regular magazines that come out, the Lincoln one.
The Lincoln ones, yeah.
I would love to see a regular Lincoln magazine.
Sorry, it's just always been here, so.
It was not an outside publication, in other words, it was a Lincoln University publication.
Okay.
And I did
So like
find,
the alumni newsletter, maybe the bulletin, is it called the bulletin anymore? What is it called now? The Lincoln Lion, maybe?
I did find.
Do you recall that article, Susan?
Yeah,
Do you recall that article? That
what was
Mia-
your question?
Do you recall the article Mia mentioned?
No, if this is something in the last few years, I probably didn't see the article, but
Kaya knows what I'm talking about.
But
because
is that building still, when I was there, the building was the secure, I'm sorry,
Yes,
is
security.
it still the security building or
No.
not?
No,
Yeah,
security was moved to those trailers.
no?
No, security was moved
Yeah,
to
keep
those
them in the
trailers.
trailers. Keep
And
them in the
now-
trailers.
Oh,
Now security, I understand, is in
okay.
ICC, which I think is a stupid place for, but or inappropriate place.
Oh,
Why are they in the cultural building?
I have no idea. It didn't make sense to me. And I said, well, as long as they're
well,
keeping
that's
us-
where the president's office is. Maybe that's why they're there.
Well, she
Isn't
is
that where the
going to
president's
move.
office is? Maybe they.
Yeah,
want to
but she's going to move.
protect
So
the president.
she doesn't like being
Oh.
separated that far from the students and the main.
Yeah, that's very far.
So she's going to move
Yeah,
back
it really is
to
far.
Vail. Yeah, she's going to move to Vail.
Look,
Oh,
look,
good.
put a trailer next to that little podium. You have to come in and check in.
Oh, God. Checkpoint. I always feel like I was going into a prison going through there. But just to go back to Ezekwe and Nkrumah, that building was so significant. That's when Dr. Jennings, the president, announced at the alumni meeting they were going to tear it down. They were going to tear down several historic buildings, Houston Hall, Amos Hall.
Confused. That's all right. He was just confused.
And so we were enraged.
Oh.
I was enraged. I mean, let's put it there. And at the time, I didn't know much about historic buildings. And I said, well, maybe it's not a historic building. It seemed like it should be. And I contacted the State Historic Commission and to ask could they give me an opinion or any documentation. So on my birthday, I'll never forget it, a letter came in the mail to my home. And it said, indeed, Ezekwe and Nkrumah Hall is historic, as are 18 other buildings which have been designated eligible for historic preservation in 1982.
They're eligible, but
That it hasn't been designated yet.
when I was there and it was under Dr. Nelson, he did not want
No.
any designation because of the limitation that is put on what you can then do with the building. So,
And
I mean,
that
this
was
is
a
years
lie.
ago, but that was the position then.
I
There were
know.
local people who really wanted buildings to be put on the register, and he did not want that. And I was very disappointed. You know, our house got torn down. That didn't disappoint me so much, but you know what disappointed me, Carol, was when the Frankowski's house was torn down, because
That
I
was the
think of
hospital.
that as historical building. That was the first
That was the
infirmary.
hospital. The
That was
hospital.
the first guest house. I mean, and it was such a cute little house too.
was
I was so sad when they tore that down.
And so I took direct opposition to the president and to the board of trustees, didn't want it either. So I had my crew out
Yeah.
there. We were demonstrating. We had signs and all kinds of things. We were going to lay in front of the bulldozers.
Wow.
So I was just so happy that building is, you know, it's going to be preserved, and it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the oldest building.
Yes, the oldest, but how do you do that? I
Yeah.
so disagreed with Dr. Jennings, Dr. Nelson was part of that Barnes fiasco. That's what he wanted. And, it was not a happy time at Lincoln University then.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carol, for your leadership on that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. You were supportive.
Carol, you didn't know I would have been right there with you.
I know you would. I
But you
know.
called me. Now, my name on there was like militant. You're a militant. I wore an afro for 10 years.
Absolutely.
But that goes to show you how important alumni is. Carol, Robert, and Love. I mean, Jennings did not graduate from Lincoln, neither did Nelson. We love Lincoln, and it showed through by what you did. So
it makes a lot of sense to have the president
important.
as an alum who also has a passion and history of being at Lincoln, to then you can see how she infiltrates her love for Lincoln, which Dr. Allen is doing. So
she was a member of LUHI, which was a Lincoln University Heritage Initiative to save the historic buildings. She was on that committee from the very beginning. So we knew we had an ally, but that was an incredible, and the real tragedy, there's still a tragedy in that, talking with the people from the National Historic Trust, they wanted to designate Lincoln University as a historic treasure. The board would not do it.
Mm.
And you know who the HBCU historic treasurer is now?
who?
There is a school.
Is it Hampton
No,
or
Cheney?
Howard?
Morgan.
Morgan.
Morgan, that's what I said, Morgan. But it's our fault. It's, the administration's fault. It was given to us on a silver tray. All Lincoln had to do was sign off. And the board chair at the time said it's not a priority.
The other bloody triangle.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, be active, stay woke. Always, always. Okay, so I think that's the class for today. What's our assignment going forward, Dr. Button?
Well, I was just going to share my screen and just point out something about the editorial guide, if I can do that for just a minute.
Sure.
Let's see, my screen, I'm going to share this for the benefit of host disabled attendee screen sharing. Did you?
Oh, I need to go to, let me give you that. Aha. Got to give you the privilege of doing that.
Carol, the other way you can do it is on your screen share. You can just click the arrow and it will allow multiple sharers.
Get out of here.
If you're the host.
It sure does, all participants.
I do it all day long.
Good, yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Great. So what we're going to do here, what I'm going to show us is the editorial style guide that was just updated by Shelley Mix in the Publicity Communications Office. It is a style guide for university publications. It uses AP. And so for that reason, isn't exactly everything that we're going to use. But I think it's useful for certain things. If you want to know building names, I mean, this is this content, how to list personal titles. There are standards that the university uses that I think it's appropriate to go by this guide. So I sent it to all students, and I just think it's worth knowing about. So let's see, I don't know, I'm just looking to see if there's anything particular. Yeah, like questions, we're not the Lincoln University anymore. We went through that change.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Jennings again.
Mary Brown died. See, there's some of these the common errors that people make. Mary Brown died chapel. This is very interesting, actually, and doesn't really have it wouldn't be contradicted by MLA if that's what we go with. I thought this was an interesting where theater is the American spelling, not the English. So anyway, just for your information, if you have questions, you might find this useful. That's all. That's my-
Nice.
Oh, I'm interested to see, to avoid Lincoln University of PA, which I often use to distinguish it from Missouri.
Well, it's interesting that they don't put Lincoln University, comma, PA, which I think is something that a lot of people
Uh-huh.
do. Because
Yeah, I remember going through, what to call it back, because it's technically, when it became part of the Commonwealth system, it was the Lincoln, well, I guess it was the Lincoln University of the Commonwealth System of Higher Education, which is, it's like such a mouthful. So anyway, that's interesting. Okay.
So
So-
now it's Lincoln
go ahead.
City, I'm a PA as opposed to of PA?
I'll talk to Shelley about this, but it seems to me it would be Lincoln University, comma, PA, not Lincoln University of PA.
I
Like-
still do it the latter, Lincoln University of PA. I just,
Right. And so what she's saying is that that's not what they like. So, yeah.
I guess it's
Okay.
personal preference.
No, I think this is the purpose of this, not to disagree with you, but the purpose of this guide is to get everybody doing it the way the university.
Oh, but you know what she has there? She has the Lincoln University, avoid using Lincoln University of PA. And so but she didn't say what to use.
Exactly.
She says
Exactly.
Lincoln University, use that.
No, it says Lincoln University, right?
But you can't because, there's another Lincoln University. So how do you differentiate the two?
Exactly.
That's what I'll ask Shelley and suggest that if that's what she wants, that she should use it that way. With
That is not in the legal name, Lincoln.
No, it's not. You're right.
As a matter of fact, the legal name is what Susan said. After it became state related, it is Lincoln University of the Commonwealth System,
I
State
see that.
of Pennsylvania. It's so ridiculous. That's too long.
And it was there
Too
in
long.
1975, Carol. 1975, that's what they wrote. It was a mouthful.
Okay, so there's another issue that we just wanted to bring up. Now, how do we stop sharing here? And that is the success. We have just a couple of minutes here. Abigail, are you still on? Abigail.
Yeah, she's still on, I think.
Abigail.
Oh,
I can
I
see
see.
that
I
on-
think I see her.
Okay, Abigail, would you just in about a minute describe the results of your interview with Dr. Welburn as it relates to your final product? What happened when you had interviewed him?
Send him. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A few detailed questions just relating to basically like based on the criteria of the biographical assignment that was on Canvas. And he basically just took it upon himself to write a nice, beautifully written essay, like just explaining like in detail, like answering all of the questions. So it was just really phenomenal. We did that over email. It was pretty much straightforward. Well, that was gonna be like the first part of the interview for me because I was gonna like, call to follow up and just talk about some of the answers. But yeah, like it was great. I shared it with Miss Black and it just really just helps with my whole entire assignment. Like we're thinking about just leaving it the way it is and me just publishing the interview as is or formulating it to like do it as something else. So I'm really excited.
Right. So what we've ended up, what Abigail has is such a wonderful response to her questions that she can't really improve upon it by her own writing. So we're suggesting that if you have a subject for your second biographical essay who is alive as opposed to past, you may find yourself in the same situation. You can use the interview as the basis for your final essay. Carol, correct me if I'm wrong here in what I'm saying.
Sometimes great. It's great. Abigail did a wonderful job, as did Ron in answering the questions, but she presented excellent questions. And I don't know whether he revised the questions at all, but the final piece is just so well done and interesting. It's amazing how you can tell your life story in an interview. And he covered everything that we ask you to cover in the outline of a biographical essay. In his early life, his life at Lincoln, his life after Lincoln, his current life, and he has humor in it. And we talked a lot about his genealogy, because we were all kind of going like, geez, how did he come to be an expert in all of these areas? And he explains it, and it's just so well done. So our congratulations to you, Abigail.
So students who are here, if you have a living subject, you're going to have to make the decision as to whether your best shot is going to be your writing or an exact transcript of the interview that you have with your subject. And that's something to think about, because your job is to get a biographical essay about the person to give us, the reader, a full sense of who this person is, the background, so forth. If you think you have a better shot at a good product by doing an interview, that's an option for the final project, for the final product.
Dr. Button, does it have to be either or?
No, not necessarily. No, as a matter of fact, what I'm recommending to Abigail is that she frame Ron Welburn's answers to her. He wrote out his answers to her. And I'm suggesting she frame it with a short piece about how she created the questions and the genesis of her article. We don't have to go in that direction, but that's what I thought.
Well, no, what I'm suggesting is that you can have both. You can have a discussion of the times that the person
yes.
created in. You can have a discussion of some of the issues around
yes.
ending Lincoln, and then you can have direct quotes from
yes.
the interview to supplement or
yes.
to embellish the
yes.
the general framework.
Thank you for saying that. And Abigail, I hope you're listening, because this issue of context is very important that you brought up before. And maybe that's, yes, that's great. Absolutely. Great suggestion, both.
That's why we were suggesting, even when you have a deceased alum, why it's good to contact their family, because there's another opportunity to get information about the person and maybe to have a quote, to quote them. That's additional insight.
Just Dr. Button, a couple of real quick things. One is, can you send us the style sheet that
sure.
you referred to?
Yes,
and secondly, I read, Carol sent me the Treasures to Treasure
yes.
manuscript. I would suggest students read that, because that also can serve as a template for some of the types of information that people will be gathering. So if people get stuck on something like contributions to society or Lincoln experiences, then the way that those topics are presented in the essays would be a good example to follow. Sometimes you get stuck on a point or get writer's block or something like that, but those essays were very good in capturing a lot of what we're talking about with the alumni that we're now working on. And just one other thing, in this essay on Thurgood Marshall, there's a mistake in there. Someone.
I know. Don't worry. No, don't speak it. If we did a second edition, we had 5 people read it over, including the advisor and everybody, it all missed it. It's a terrible thing. We have a second edition, and
I didn't have the second edition. I copied the first one, so it's going to be changed.
No, we're so appalled at that issue that we don't even mention it. It's an unmentionable issue, but thank you for reading it. That's marvelous. I wish you'd been one of the editors.
Okay. Well, my point is that if students were to look at that, look at some of the essays, they would get an idea of how to approach their writing about their subjects.
Okay. Okay, good. In fact, Carol, are you going to, you don't have it yet.
I did what, Treasure to Treasure? I did already send it to everybody.
Okay, well, I
have it, but we'll send the second edition. But when I scanned it, I made it editable. So we really could just go
Oh,
back.
good. Oh, marvelous. Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Do
Matter
it.
of changing the word.
Oh, wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. By the way, I did find.
Is it also on Canvas? Is it also on Canvas for the students or not?
I
Is,
did
is it
put
on
it on
Canvas for students?
No, I just sent it to everyone by email. I did not put it on Canvas yet.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought
You should
maybe
have gotten
Marilyn
it,
had it on
Susan.
Canvas.
You should have gotten it, Susan.
Yeah, no, I got it from you, but no, I wondered whether Marilyn maybe had put the second edition on Canvas so that would be the
No.
correct edition for the
Not yet.
students.
No, we're just going to change.
But no, okay.
Yeah, but I did want to say, I found Dr. James Herman Robinson, 1907, 1972.
Class of 1938.
That's correct. And
That's for Adjua Love Dorsey.
right. He grew up very humble background in Knoxville, Tennessee, completed high school, went on to graduate from Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, that's normally how we say it, in 1935, and Union Theological Seminary in New York, 1938. During his time at Lincoln, he met several people from Africa who were to become leading figures in the liberation struggles. One person was Kwame Nkrumah, and another person was Ndamia Azikiwe. So, and that led him to found Crossroads Africa, sponsored by the Presbyterian Board of Foreign Missions. But you might want to, there's a whole.
I didn't realize that was Presbyterian. Huh.
Mhm. At least that's where the funding for his tour came from. Let me see what else it says. Kennedy administration sought advice from him in organizing the Peace Corps in
I
1961.
was going to say, I thought that may be a model for
It was
the war.
inspiration.
So it was Peace Corps as well
was
as
an
Crossroads
inspiration.
Africa. Yeah. Organized in 1961, vice chair of the Peace Corps National Advisory Council. And welcome in 62, volunteers of White House President John Kennedy stated that Operation Crossroads Africa was the progenitor of the Peace Corps. Apparently, Dr. Robinson, great speaker, preacher, effective recruiter for Operations Crossroads Africa. And he was, in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson appointed him special representative to then Bucanaland, I know I'm pronouncing that, now Botswana, and Basutoland, now Lesotho. Was Lesotho. Okay, and he's got several books, 4 books. Oh.
Dr. Johnson, do you think that those articles, I felt that they were sparse compared to what we're expecting from students. I'm very pleased that you think, they're a good template, but I think we're asking our students to add some personality to that.
Yes, that's what I said. For some areas, they're very rich in the professional contributions of these people. They cover a little bit of their personal life, and they do touch upon their years at Lincoln and how that may have influenced their ultimate work. Yeah. So I'm not suggesting that be a template for, we already outlined an approach to writing the essays, so we don't want to abandon that. But when we look at certain sections of those essays, we can see how, and maybe, in the case of Treasure to Treasure, there may be too much detail in terms of professional accomplishment, because every society, every board, every commission that they were part of, every political campaign or every appointment that they had, it is recorded in some of those essays. So we're not necessarily talking about that, but that will be part of what we're trying to capture about these individuals that we're studying.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Question.
Good.
So now that I know that you are able to conduct an interview instead of the essay, if the person that I had originally chosen for my second part is dead, but I have a backup who's alive, can I switch?
Well, as I heard it, Mia, it's not a question of substituting one for the other. It's a question of sources. And so one of the things that you will be doing is gathering information from a variety of sources that have been laid out to us before, be it through the special collections at Lincoln, through online searches and other materials, books and so forth. And then if you can also get information from people who knew or were associated with the subject, then that would be, it'd be more than icing on the cake. I mean, it would be like, you know, cake and ice cream, but you still can have the cake without the ice cream. So it's not, you know, one or the other. It's a matter of utilizing as much information as possible and as many sources as possible. So if you have, you know, the opportunity to interview some people and the time and the means, then I would say by all means go for it. But still understand that, you know, there are other sources of information that need to be consulted and used in the in the paper. Carol and
Good
Dr.
question.
Bum, do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was going to ask, anybody else have excellent questions too? How are you doing on your second essay? You coming along? Okay.
So like, what is it? We could either do an interview or research.
Well, you'd still, even if you did the interview, I mean, you'd still have to have your resources, what Dr. Johnson was saying. But you have that option. I like it better when you can blend, you know, do the autobiographical stuff as well as quotes. I think, you know, quotes are very, very important. Just helps to bring the essay alive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we haven't really exactly answered your question. If you prefer to do a living person, it does not exclude the research that's required for a deceased person. In other words, the benefit of the life is that you might, as Carol has said, and we've heard, you can get the flavor of the language, maybe a personal perspective that's not in some kind of book. And actually, that's not a bad idea if you think you have the time and energy, depending on how much you've done already. I guess I'd have to make a judgment call on that one.
Mia, what person did you have in mind switching to?
Thelma Hill.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Or you could do a third one.
Wait a minute.
Listen,
Right.
when you guys said the research was extensive, I went through a whole thing of minutes, faculty minutes, to find information on this man. And the information was there, but I had to go through handwritten stuff and zoom in. And sometimes, depending on who was the secretary at the time, you could tell like a difference in handwriting. Somebody wrote it way better than somebody else, but this is like the 1800s. So the cursive is real loopy. Listen, I don't know about 3.
She was just kidding.
I was kidding.
Okay, thanks.
I want to say congratulations to an introduction to research,
Yeah.
scholarly research.
It is.
Good job.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. How about the other students? What kind of experiences are you having in consulting your different sources and materials?
Well, with mine, she don't really have much out there on her. So I did it.
Are you talking about Adrienne Roan?
That's the one.
Oh dear. Okay.
So I did an interview with her. And that's kind of all I got, because Sister Carol told me to reach out to the board of trustees person, I guess right now. I forgot her name, but she never reached back out to me. So I just got that one interview.
Did Adrienne Roan herself give you some suggestions as to where you can find more info on her? Surely she would want to promote her own essay.
She didn't.
No, she did. I was going to tell you to go back and look at her emails.
I don't have her email.
I sent them to you.
Yeah, I don't have that.
She refers to magazine articles about herself. She refers to the whole Barnes controversy when she was on the board. She really did, I thought, helped you tremendously. Now, maybe, I'm going to send them to you again. Maybe you missed it.
I never got it.
Okay.
Make sure you have the right email. Why don't you
Mhm.
correct email? Ms. Carroll will have it.
Yeah, I'm sure I do. Because we've communicated several times. So let me just check. I don't want to take everybody's time here, but I will double check.
I have that email.
Yeah. But she did give you a lot of help. So take a look again.
So Tamara isn't here, but she has scheduled an interview with her her person who is Soraya Coley. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent, Tamara and I spent some time yesterday on the digital stuff, because of course the challenge is when you're looking at Lincoln materials when it's for a young woman, very likely they have a totally different last name, which was the case of Dr. Coley. She started out, but that wasn't all. She also, Soraya is her middle name. And when she was a student at Lincoln, she was called Cora. So that was, that was interesting. But I'm wondering for Adrienne Roan, whether you looked in the Lincolnians, looked in the Lincoln bulletins and so on. And if so, whether she had it, I mean, I don't know. Is Roan her married name, or was that her name when she was at Lincoln? So that's another challenge that you have when you're doing the research of when they were a student, if you're trying to find information about that. So anyway, just
Matter
a
of fact,
thought.
I sent this to you March 26th, Deja, and let me see if I have your deja.outterberidge@Lions. I can't see the rest of it. That's correct, right?
Lions.lincoln.
Yes, but I never got that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Never got it. So I don't know if it went to junk or what, but never got it.
Oh, maybe you
Anyway,
should check your junk then.
yeah. But anyway, she gave you a lot of Google searches, and then she gave you an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer. She says blow-by-blow account of the Barnes issue. And she talked about a documentary film. And she said there are several articles in Lincolnian dating back to when I was first elected as board chair. She says the library should have those copies. Okay. I'm going to send it to you again right now, okay?
And for the Lincolnian, of course, that is online. That would be online. So so you don't have to go to the library. You just have to go to the library website.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, so are we at the end of class?
Yes, we are.
So next week, we're going to have Be More.
Yes.
And
Thursday. Mhm.
on Thursday. And the following week, our syllabus says that the essay will be due, but what we'll do on the following week is give reports, be working on the final draft, and week 15 we'll expect that final essay and student presentations of those essays.
When
Okay.
you said final essay, you mean the second one, or?
Yes, the second one. Mhm, the second.
Okay.
So
What's that date again?
That's week 14, beginning on the 26th to the 30th. So basically next week we have one more speaker, and the following week we're going to be polishing up. And then the last week will be done with the final product. So we've
Okay.
got two more weeks to work on our material to bring it to completion for the second essay.
Let me ask one
What's
other
the date
question
of the
here.
last week, Dr. Button?
What's that? The date of the last week? Well, now we have week 15, which is week May 3 through 7th, and week 16 is scheduled for final exams. Now we haven't talked about a final exam in here.
Oh, the final exam should be their final essays or whatever.
Well, I think yes, I'd like to have the final essays the week before the final exam. Maybe we could, Carol and I need to talk exactly how that's going to look like. I'd like to just say that we have 2 weeks to work on gathering and polishing the essay. And then I think for the 3rd week, we should have that essay complete, because there's always revisions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have a suggestion for the final, maybe we could have the students present, do PowerPoints or present.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yes. One other question, for alumni and friends and mentors, are we, I thought there was some discussion of us contributing a chapter or an article or something in the area of interest.
Yes,
Is that still on the table?
yes, still on the table.
Okay, nobody's been holding us accountable.
I know.
Right.
You're supposed to hold yourself accountable.
Well,
I gotta put the whip out. Okay, I will.
no, okay, but I mean,
Carol-
I know we'll be doing something with alumni donors and things of that sort, but beyond that, I mean, I don't know.
Carol, could you tell us again what you told me this afternoon when we were talking about various possibilities? Could you just say again, recast your vision for the history of the alum?
Okay, so when we began this, my task was to create a history of the Alumni Association. That sort of enlarged as we went along, because there is a distinction. There are people who are in the Alumni Association who aren't necessarily Lincoln alum that we are writing about. So we didn't want to make that distinction. So now it's become broader. I was even thinking about calling it LU, Lincoln University History Makers, so that we still incorporate the essays that the students are working on, as well as our own. Now, the alumni are working on topics, not necessarily biographical essays, topics such as student activism in the 60s. That's still an important place. It should be discussed and should be written. But again, it's broader than the history of the Alumni Association. So we're going to work with that a bit. We'll make it fit. I don't have any problem with it being a compilation of things, and maybe the history of the Alumni Association is its own separate chapter. And then we can have additional entries. So I have to really see what's allowable in the publishing world. Do you mix genres? And if you do, how do you do it? We even talked about maybe have a separate student publication with just the student essays, but I really want the student work known by the alumni. I really want you to have that exposure. And
Carol, excuse me. So your title, when you just mentioned it vaguely, Lincoln University History Makers, wouldn't you do Lincoln University of PA?
well, no, I'm going to do Lincoln University History Makers. There's only one Lincoln University.
Okay, I mean, that's how I feel too.
That's only one.
That's why when people tell me about Missouri, I'm like, what?
Right, I don't know how to. It's only one.
What? In the same colors?
You're right.
I lived in Missouri, so watch out.
Hey, it still stands.
The Lincoln seal labels us as opposed to the Missouri thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and let the other Lincoln University say they're Lincoln University of Missouri.
So
Yeah.
back to Professor Johnson, do you have a topic for an essay that you're writing on? Because if you do, we want to know about it, because I'm sure it would be wonderful.
No, well, I expressed an interest in doing something with alumni giving. So, but apart from that, I would have, maybe talked about Rabble, but we got an expert on that, so I'm not gonna touch that. I read
Hey,
his,
Murph, didn't you get your cue?
Well, look, I'm teaching three courses now. I don't have symbolic logic, ethics. Oh man. So
yeah, you're busy.
I'm and I'm mentoring. Oh no, I'm busy. You don't know how busy I am.
Oh God.
But anyway.
But Dwight, you're still doing Fontaine, right?
Oh yes, she's still doing Fontaine. In fact, when we close, I want to speak to Dr. Button for a minute. Mhm.
Rob, I somehow thought you had a topic you were working on and on your own. You did mention development, fundraising, alumni giving.
That's important.
And it is good.
That's an
We
important.
never get clear answers to that question. Although I will say Dr. Allen announced at the last board meeting that the alumni giving now is up to 14%,
That's great.
which is good.
Right.
It's
Well,
not-
I mean, I can play with some ideas on that in
Yeah.
terms of looking at the history of giving at Lincoln. The question of how do we compare to other HBCUs? We got this recent endowment. What are other types of requirements that we need to be mindful of from an alumni perspective in terms of attracting more resources to the university? There's a whole host of things that, that can be explored. The status of Black college graduates in their later years compared to perhaps other groups, and our ability to give or our willingness to give. So there's many number of factors.
Well, I think, the ways that the Alumni Association has changed and saved well, I guess the initiatives that the Alumni Association has taken that are extraordinary, not the least of which is the preservation of the buildings, would be a really nice way to highlight the importance of the alumni and what they do for the university. What are the highlights of the alumni achievements as it relates to ongoing projects and so forth.
Yeah, that's a great topic for Carol. Well, no, I mean, yeah, one of the reasons why I'm interested in alumni giving is because along with Carol, I've been organizing our class reunions, our annual class, not annual, but the class reunions.
Yeah.
And we have to fight with our classmates to get contributions. Number one. On the other hand, I think that I would like to see each class, and I came up with the term 50 by 50. In other words, raise $50,000 for their 50th class memorial. In other words, give the university $50,000 or more as a class. And so that way the university will have a steady stream of income that could be
Well,
used.
Johnson, we've been doing much better than that.
Well, but not, how many classes? Yeah, well, that's why we can do the research. How many classes have done that?
We've done quite a few.
How many classes? You're saying your class. I'm saying how many other
No,
classes?
they have done more than 50, and it's been, I can't tell you how far back, but that would be interesting to ask the Alumni
Yeah.
Association.
Okay.
That would be interesting.
So
I know that I'm very, very familiar with it during Jennings' short reign.
that we had a number of classes that gave more than $50,000 a year per reunion.
Rob and I sit there through all those alumni dinners, and
Oh, yes.
the amounts are
Right.
very small.
I've seen some of them more.
But anyway, nice to document it, Rob.
Okay, yeah, we know. Well, see,
Yeah.
I like I said, I lived in Missouri. That's known as what? The Show Me State. But
No,
more
that's
importantly,
that's known as the other Lincoln University.
No. But my point is, I'm very numbers oriented. I'm a quantitative social scientist. So, it's one thing to have anecdotes, but a bunch of anecdotes don't constitute data.
The other thing is that the spirit of competition is very strong. At the best moments of Lincoln's history, it was competition, like the rabble stories.
Yep.
I think that those really motivated people to do their best. So if you could create a real competition with your art.
Yeah. Because we challenged some of our fellow classes. They challenged us back in when our first reunion. We didn't give much. There was two who showed up for the reunion, and we were so busy drinking or whatever that when we got to the dinner, we said, how much you want to give? It's like $25, $50 or whatever. And our good friend Pablo, from the back of the room with his booming voice said, that all you guys can do? So he put us on the spot.
Sure did.
Yeah, and so from that day on, it's been okay. We're going to, make a meaningful contribution to Lincoln, financial
Hey
contribution.
guys, I think it's time to close now. I've been getting some messages, so.
I just want to say to follow Rob, thanks to Rob's fundraising efforts, our class gave over $100,000 the last round.
Whoa.
All right.
All right. Well.
All right. Write what's on your heart. If you have a subject you want to write about, do it. Right, Carol?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
We'll
Thank you
see
all.
next week.
All right.
See you,
See you
everybody.
later.
Hey, Carol, don't hang up. I want to talk
I'm
about
gonna stay on.
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay.
stay on.
Yeah, I'm
everybody
here.
else can.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
See ya.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. Yes. So I spoke to Kaya, and you know, she's wants to change her major. Has she talked to you about that?
No.
No. Okay. And she wants to change her major to music. So she said she was going through some mental, you know, but she talked to her mother. She was thinking about leaving, you know, later on. And her mother kind of convinced her to stay, and she's happy that she's going to change her major to art. But
What's her classification?
she's in the sophomore. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not,
Yeah, I think she's a sophomore and her
Yeah.
GPA is extremely low.
Right. And I could tell, well, you know, her writing is not, you know, very not that good, but we're working. I talk to her a lot. I do communicate with her, you know, and so I'm trying to better that essay that she wrote on Fontaine. So I just wanted to, you know, because I asked her, had she spoken with you, and she said no. But we're gonna work it right now. She has Sheila Oliver, and I have a cousin who works in New Jersey, and so maybe I'm trying to get an interview with Oliver for her. But her essay is weak. But we're working on it. We're working on it. And I have to, you know, in other words, I have to spend a lot more time with her. So, but hey, she said something about, you know, I didn't realize that a lot of the students, because of COVID, they're locked in their room. And she talked about that. She said they had a mental health day. They went to Longwood Gardens and things like that. But she's doing better now. You know, she's doing better now. So
is she off campus?
no, she's on campus right now. She's on campus right now.
But she's not confined to her room?
Well, yes, all the students are confined to their room for what I understand, you know.
Yeah. And it's
So,
tough.
so
I've you know, I was hoping that no news from her was good news, but when I looked at her GPA, I thought, oh dear.
what is it? What?
Oh, it's like 1.8 or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well-
I don't know how it got that low. And so she was so motivated at the beginning of the semester and seemed to be solid. I'm happy to help with you know, with writing style, but I don't know the first thing about Fontaine. That's
Oh no, that's okay. We got she
You got a lot of good stuff. You got
yeah, she has a lot of good
Yeah.
stuff. We spoke with the guy who did the book on Fontaine.
yes.
I recorded it. Now I'm had to send that to her. Merrill sent her a lot of good information,
Wow.
but you know, the wording is a problem. So, you know, she's very quick to put short things down, you know, short
Yeah.
information is not very broad.
Yeah.
So we're working with it, but we have a good relationship, and
I think that's
that's
means a lot.
right. Yes. So you know, so she sounds like she's going to stay in school. She showed me some pictures, and you know, and you know, because I encourage her to do what she likes to do. You know, that's very important.
Right.
And but she's still interested in writing the thing, and
All right.
we just have to work on her writing skills. That's it. You know.
I have the same issue.
Did you read her I'm sure you read
Yeah,
her-
on Fontaine. Yeah.
No, her biographical essay describing her traumatized journey to Lincoln.
No.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Well, maybe that would be helpful. I forget why I read it, but anyway, it's all about.
I don't remember that either.
It's about her background and so forth.
Well, she told me a little, I mean, about, I know she's from the islands. Her parents are from one of the American Virgin Islands. Mhm. But for being a teacher, and she's, I can sense certain things, just by,
Yeah.
the wig she wears, all,
Yeah,
get her, the turmoil
yeah,
in her head, without saying anything, without.
right. Wow.
So, but I think it's going to turn out to be a happy story in the end.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you very much
Mhm.
for your investment. It sounds like you've really got your hands full, but
Yeah, well, it's
for
okay. That's what we're here for, right?
if you get a medal, we'll give you a Medal of Honor.
Okay.
Okay, a certificate of perseverance.
Okay, all right, that's
Like
all
that.
right, right.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
no
I have
problem.
sort of the same issue with Mia. She's a lovely personality. I mean, just teddy bear type. Her writing is all just atrocious.
Mhm.
It's like you want to go back to third grade and just begin again, like basic
Mhm.
grammar,
Mhm.
using the spell check. I mean, no organization.
Right,
I
right.
really, last time we talked, I said, look, we got to reorganize this paper. You said something in paragraph 4 that you said in paragraph 1. You're just meandering. I said, you just need that discipline.
Mhm.
So I thought that day off this week, or was that this week?
Monday, it was
Yeah,
Monday.
because she's stressed out too.
Yeah,
And this isolation that they're living in is just not good.
No, it's
right,
not good.
right.
I don't know what to do with somebody like Nazira Purnell. Now, why would a person have to schedule a meeting with Dr. Allen at 5 o'clock on Thursday, the one day of the week when she has a class?
Right.
I get so fed up with her.
Mm.
And she's riding on her laurels. She's she's gotten into Yale and she's done this and this and this, and she's quick on the trigger, but it's so disrespectful.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I have to control myself for not getting mad at her.
I can tell by your face, your expression. Yes.
Oh God.
That's all I can do, not to
Mhm.
be snippy,
Right, right.
And finally, she's going to have to get a grade. And I don't want to, she's very concerned about her grade. And I don't want to be the dastardly
Right.
person who brings it down, because it's her future is at stake, apparently. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Mhm. Well, I just wanted to share, just to share that with you, so we can be on the same page with her. But yes, the writing, Carol, right, of course, and she enjoyed the interview, so I try to make it as happy as possible. And Sheila Oliver, if we could get that could be a motivation for her to carry on, if she can see a woman in the same, role model. So that's what I'm hoping for. But that's her state of mind. Like she came in and she went off, she came in and well, anyway, she can put it this way, she can call me anytime, I call her anytime. And so we're in connection, and she's going to finish it. That's the bottom line. She's going to finish it.
So where was she today?
Well, I saw her today. We meet every Thursday at 1 o'clock. That's the time.
Oh, I thought maybe you heard from her when you.
No. And then she came on, but she went off. She came.
Did come
She
in?
signed in. Yes, you didn't. She signed in.
I talked to her, yeah.
Oh, she did.
But you can, if she is responsible to me, I'm still,
Yeah,
no,
right.
wait a minute, has she declared her major?
Well,
Because I have been talking to her, she may have declared her major, what, in political science or something?
Right, I think so. That was it.
Yeah, okay, but now I don't know what she knows about art, but.
Well, she draws. She showed me some pictures. In other words, she said, and she's happy about. In other words, she was thinking about leaving Lincoln.
Yeah.
And pursuing. She was talking about nails, and people do her. She does, things. Right. And no, she was talking about that. And she was talking about, because I asked her what does she like. That's the point of my question. And she was talking about her mother, wants her to finish school. And I explained to her, I said, well, you got to do what you like, not with all what your parents, they impose their life on a kid. I said, that's not always good. I said, so, but obviously her mother does have some influence because she said she spoke to with her mother and her mother, you know, I guess convinced her to change her major or whatever, stay in college. And she seems to be happy with the decision that she's going to major in art. And I said, and well, then that's good. But I told her that writing can also help her with her art. That's what I told her. And
Well, you know, in our day, you lost your scholarship if your grades fell below 2.0. So I'm concerned,
right.
you
The
know.
other thing is if you change your major too far along, you've got catch up to do.
Right. Right.
So
Well, maybe I can talk to her. Maybe she could minor in art or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you know, that's really not your job. I mean, it's good that you're doing that, but it's not your job, except I don't know how far the job of a mentor goes, but
Right, right.
you
No,
know,
it's not.
you know, you're welcome to encourage her to come back and talk to me. I have a pretty
Well, I will. I do. I did ask her that she talk to you.
and she should, you know, yes, she should talk to her advisor. That's what advisors are for, academic
Right.
advisors.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't want her flaking out. She's got a good mind, I think.
Yes, she does. She
She's
does.
solid, but
A little lazy, you know, because you know, writing takes some time.
oh my
Where's she from, Dwight?
She's let's see, she said I think she was born in the South, but she's from the American Virgin Islands and
Yeah.
she lives in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Pennsylvania. She went to high school in Pennsylvania, like near Bethlehem, that area.
Oh,
there was a breakup in her family and she lived in impoverished conditions and she tried to come back. She got confused, but this was like her last push, you know, this semester.
Right.
She came in with enthusiasm and confidence and she's obviously now, whew,
She's 22 also, I
yeah,
think.
she's a little older
She's
than
not, she's not a young.
Jennifer, I think, yeah.
Right, she's not 18.
well, if she got her early education in the Virgin Islands, I mean, they did a good job. They're
Yeah.
pretty strict.
I don't know if she was educated. I don't know if she.
Yeah, where
I'm not
she
sure.
went to school.
She went to high school, I think, in Pennsylvania.
Her family breakup, that was what I read an essay about and it was hard.
Okay.
So, all right, well, we'll keep an eye on her and
All right.
you get those essays done. That's what we care about.
Right.
Fine.
The bottom line is the essay.
Yeah.
That's the background. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay, don't be too nice, Murph.
Well, I'm not. I'm telling her to do the job. I know. Don't be too nice. You want me to be more like you?
I don't know what I
Hey, look.
Nice.
Look,
I will say,
look.
very
The point is to get the job done.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the point.
No, it's absolutely right. Yeah, I think,
and it's not that hard.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not like you're asking her to
Well,
develop some kind of mathematical theory or
right.
analyze scientific.
you know, if we do this again, we will have a much clearer idea of what to do from the beginning. And I think, you know, a course like this attracts some floaters. That's just the way it is. And you get these floaters and
Right.
so that's always a bit shaky.
Mhm.
And,
Right.
yeah.
So,
So Carol's, we're talking today and we're talking about doing it, what was it, a poll, so to speak, of a questionnaire on how students feel about it. And I'd like to know whether, and I'm trying this conversation out on you, if you don't mind, but we want to know whether we should offer this again. Like, are we intent on getting enough of these essays from students that it's on the books for the fall? I put a special projects on for the fall. I haven't labeled it yet, but it's there if we want it.
Mhm. And I haven't talked to the alumni about it, but
right.
yeah, White, we'll put you on the spot.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're putting you on the spot because, I mean, I think Carol and I know better. We've got the website set up, Canvas set up. We would know from the beginning how to have the material submitted. It would be clear cut to the kids. There would be probably fewer changes, things like that. So, and I'd like to, you know, we have experimental courses all the time, and the creative writing program, and I could talk to David about this. He gets kids who love to write and do research, and research should really be what they're learning to do. That's one of the university priorities. So the concept is terrific. The concept is really terrific. What we don't like is the sloppiness of these students. It's a bit embarrassing to have that be the way our students are representing themselves now. So
Well, you know, next semester, is it going to be Zoom, or are you going to actually have, you know, classes?
well, the hope is that we will not have Zoom.
Right. That's what, like,
And if that's the case, then we've got all sorts of possibilities to get together, have dinners in the
right,
cafeteria and
right.
much more.
Right, because I think it would have been better if we had met in person and
Yes.
say you could, you know,
Yeah.
tell them how to write. You know, this Zoom thing kind of is not, it has some negative qualities that
Yes,
that impede good learning.
right.
So, so to answer your question, I don't think I would want to do it on Zoom again.
Right, right. Although, you know, that there is an advantage. Well, okay.
Well,
yeah,
there's an advantage. You speak to the advantages that if you can be in California and meet, yeah, there are a lot of advantages.
The advantage is that are we get these alumni to come on Zoom and they don't have to come on campus. It's easy.
Yes, that's true.
That's really kind of cool.
Well,
But-
what I meant was probably I could say it could be a hybrid. That's what
Yeah,
that's what that's okay.
Yes.
That's
I think I'd go for a hybrid. actually.
hybrid. Okay.
And you know, I'm so happy. I have Zooms. I'm sure you do too, where the class is about as dead as a doornail.
Oh, God, yes.
But this is not a dead kind of environment. I mean, I feel like I'm really relating to people. I can't stand too much Zoom.
That's one thing Mia said about our class. She said, it's a really homey class. It's the only one I've had in 4 years.
Really? So she likes it?
She likes it.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, she
But in 4 years,
4 years.
that's not good.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Well,
that's what we all need.
Yeah. So she loves the alumni bantering and, you know, the conversation. They feel they're treated as adults. You know?
I think it's wonderful. I mean, to really get a feel for what the university and these videos today where I didn't know they existed. How did I miss that? Unbelievable. You know more than I do about what I'm supposed to be.
Well, that's just because I kept pushing that we've got to, you know, our students have to know Lincoln's history.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely
And our alumni have to be involved with students. So this was a way of, you know, merging those ideas and coming up with something so simple. I mean, and I guess it's like it, yeah.
I like the idea of having like I really want more treasure to treasure kind of volumes that we can distribute to the freshmen. They can read, but to read a student writing about an alum, they'll read that. They won't read some exalted piece of journalism.
Right.
They'll read up, you know. So it's a real good sell.
very good. It's also a good sale for Black universities at this time, because a lot of students are now wanting to go to HBCUs, and this history is a draw.
Yeah.
It's a draw. It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we're working on having a Lincoln University Press is another draw, but that's another story.
Yeah.
We'll go on about that one.
Yeah, it's wonderful if we get it. It's, you know, but I think it's going to happen.
I think it is.
I feel it in my bones, as the old people say.
What I really want to know is where the president stands. Does she want a press? Does she want an office? If she says yes, then we're good to go. It's
Yeah. And I think she will say yes. I think her concern is the finances. But I'm like, we just got $23 million, for God's sake. How are we spending that? We fell out the sky practically.
You could have an editor and you could have a faculty, and I'm not putting myself forward necessarily, but a release time to head up an office is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. And so then, you know, then you've got people like David, who's doing a journal already. I don't know how Massimo's supposed to be doing it as a non-faculty person. I thought you were supposed to vamoose and never show your face again, but apparently you can. I mean, it'll change, you know. And then there's, who's our third one? Oh, Cheche. Now Cheche's vision is the most amorphous.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried about that, but
yeah,
David's on board. I think we're going to come up with a good proposal.
I think so too.
And I don't think it's going to be hard. If they would give us a place to work, a team to work with, alumni involvement. Oh my
But, you seem reluctant to bring Dr. Poe in, and I think he provides that Africana segment that we don't have.
Well, yes, but let me explain to you what that's about. You invite Dr. Poe and he takes over and gets his own way on everything. And
That ain't gonna happen. No. That
Well,
ain't gonna
that's what
happen.
happens though. That's what
It
happens.
doesn't have to happen.
Well, if you're in charge, I mean, if you're in the mix, but the reluctance is he talks a lot
Yeah.
and he manipulates. And when I was chair, he was a manipulator. And I honestly, I set him straight and he never manipulated our department again.
Oh, that's good.
But it was a source.
It works.
Yeah, I'm just
There-
saying that because I was.
There is a panacea. Okay.
I was proud of myself.
Good. Good.
Not for our department. Oh yeah.
Very good.
But anyway, but that's the reason, Carol. It's not just me. It's just
Right.
not. I want you to know it's not just me. It's a general sense of things. But he runs the Africana. Yes.
And
Yes.
isn't there a journal?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh,
I saw. Okay.
that,
The other,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I said this Poe, he's the one from Temple. Is he the one?
No, he didn't go to Temple.
Oh.
No.
Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
You know, he heads up the honors program,
Oh, okay.
and he takes students on trips to Africa. As a matter of fact, I was working with him to take alumni, and of course, the COVID wiped that out. I do hope before I get too old that we'll get to go again.
Mhm.
But I just think that's an important part of Lincoln University.
So how can we find out if he has a journal? Because if he has a journal, he should be included.
Yeah, I want to ask him.
Now, the other person who should be consulted maybe is the Office of Undergraduate Research, because, they want to, Lincoln, research by Lincoln students should be published,
Yes.
however it happens to get out. And faculty should be published, as Cheche was saying. Well, Carol, do you want to snoop around and find out if he has a journal?
Yeah, I will.
I think if you can get an answer to that, that would be good. But I would be careful before we utter an
Oh, I'm not going to say a word about it. I'm just going to ask him. I thought I saw one online. Is there such a thing?
If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
It's okay. It's all good.
All right, so we're good.
Okay. Well,
So
good.
We'll see you. We'll see each other next Thursday, if not before.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good
And
evening.
Dwight, we're polishing up that crown for you. So
Oh yeah.
That
you'll
what?
wear the crown,
Oh,
the crown that you're earning right now.
okay. All right. Polishing up. I'm polishing up the whatever the Queen's wear from you two guys also. So
Oh.
I got a crown for you guys.
Okay.
I gotta
All
catch
right.
up in that kingdom. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Take care.